Welcome to this terrific Tuesday edition of Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm John Tobacco. We're coming to you live as we do every single day, noon to 2 Eastern, from the Question Tequila Studios in downtown Manhattan. Before getting into this terrific Tuesday of a show, let's take a look down the street at the New York Stock Exchange, what's happening with the markets. Up just a bit this morning. We've been talking about that key number, the support level of breaking through 28,000. That's what the resistance was. On Friday, we closed above 28. It's been joyous since then. Things are looking good. I think any more positive news on the tariff talks, the trade talks, all that stuff, we could see 30 by New Year, which would be a home run for me, you, all our portfolios. Not a home run on the Bitcoin front. Breaking down still some more. I bought some Bitcoin when it broke below 8,000. I thought that was a buying opportunity. That's why I constantly tell you, don't listen to me. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm down. It broke down even lower last night, below 7,000. And as I've been mentioning for a while, through 8,000 to 5,500, there is absolutely no support. Bitcoin tested 3,600 around this time last year. So put on your parachute, because the trapdoor could open anytime and you could be at 4,000. And as I've mentioned many, many times, if you're even thinking about investing in Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, great idea to learn about, but go into it thinking I could lose every penny and you'll set your expectations low. My expectations are high every single day because I'm joined by this guy, Frank Morano, my co-host, managing editor of Liquid Lunch. Hi, pal.
Hello there, John.
You? What's happening?
I am doing great. Well, so in terms of what's happening,
rainy day.
That is for sure, at least in New York. Hopefully,
Yeah.
other parts of the country are doing a little bit better.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what's happening in the world?
Well, in terms
today?
of what's happening, John, some breaking news coming out of the court system. Remember Rick Gates? Rick Gates was a Trump campaign that got jammed up. Got indicted and then chose to cooperate with the federal government.
I said it multiple times because he testified any chance he can get, like a parrot. He'll say whatever they say. And now, suddenly, amazingly, the government is recommending that he just gets probation.
Right. So the government.
A few months ago, he was this evil sidekick to Paul Manafort. Now, he's a good guy.
So the government recommended that he not be given any prison time for some very serious crimes because he was willing to testify against both Paul Manafort, Roger Stone, and others. But Judge Jackson, the judge in his case, just minutes ago, has rejected the DOJ's request for no prison time for Rick Gates, and she is sentencing the former Trump deputy campaign manager to 45 days in prison.
Oh, 45 days.
But it gets better. It gets better. It's 45 days intermittent in prison.
So it's like a Jeffrey Epstein sentence.
No.
Go in on the weekends, work from home,
He'll get to
show
go
up,
to prison,
take a nap, go back out.
He'll get to go to prison on the weekend. Also, he'll have 36 months probation and have a $20,000 fine along with 300 hours of community service. So prison on the weekend for Rick Gates.
Wasn't it just like a year and a half ago that he was the guy? He was Manafort's henchman.
Yeah.
He was committing he didn't register as an agent. He bought fur coats and silk. He spent all his money. And now, I guess, will they give him 45 days?
Intermittent.
So now you have a lot of experience covering like federal crimes and all this stuff. So I know how you feel about the government's use.
It certainly beats having a lot of experience committing federal crimes.
Well, your day will
As
come.
Nico did yesterday, reproducing or retransmitting footage from the NFL without their express written consent. I had to answer quite a few questions about that yesterday, I'll tell you.
I don't think we used it, did we?
We did, yes. Trust me, I heard
From
an
who?
earful on this one.
From who?
I'm gonna.
No, I want to know. I'm demanding to know who.
I'm protecting my sources here, as I always do.
So we got the higher ups go to you. They don't even come to me.
I'm not saying. I'm protecting my sources. But speaking of the courts, that is precisely what I am speaking, frankly, about. Well, we're all familiar with the Constitution, the little document that gave birth to the constitutional republic in which we've lived in since 1788 or so. A lot of great rights in there, right? You have a right to freedom of speech, right to freedom of religion, freedom of association. You have the right to own a gun, right to a trial by jury, and right to, a whole bunch of other things, right? You're prohibited from cruel and unusual punishment. Well, now there's a brand new constitutional right which is near and dear to our heart not only in New York City, but on this show, you now have a right to sleep on the street, courtesy of the United States Supreme Court. Yes, this whole case began because the city of Boise in Idaho, which was trying to do something about their homeless problem, they passed an ordinance saying you can't camp out on the street. You can't camp out on public sidewalks. You can't camp out in public parks. This is public property. You don't have a right to make this your house. And so this was challenged, and ultimately the Ninth Circuit said no. Boise has no right to prohibit people from camping out on the streets. And the defendants here appealed all the way to the United States Supreme Court, and now yesterday the Supreme Court shrugged and said, we're not going to hear the case. We're going to let the law stand, let the prior court decision stand, and as with so much of the stuff that the Supreme Court does, they offered no explanation at all as to why they're not even going to hear the case. Understand, they didn't affirm it, they didn't overturn it, they're not even going to hear the case. They feel it's so insignificant to your life that they can't even be bothered to give you an explanation as to why they're not going to hear it. Now, why did the lower court choose to do this? They said, John, that to prohibit people from sleeping on the street. No, that's not what they said. What they said was prohibit people from sleeping on the street would be a violation of the Eighth Amendment, because they said unless a municipality can provide beds for every single possible homeless person, then you cannot stop any homeless person from sleeping on the street. So let's think about the logic of that. What the lower court said, if there are 20,000 beds in a community, and this is what the homeless situation is like in San Francisco and Los Angeles right now, you can take a look for yourself. They said unless there are, if there are 20,000 beds that are empty in a given city, in homeless shelters, if you have 20,001 homeless people on the streets,
they can all sleep there.
You can't arrest one of them. Understand that. If there are 20,000 empty beds and there are 21,000 people that are sleeping on the street, you can't arrest one of them and stop them from sleeping on the street. Now, this makes no sense. This is the creation of a brand new constitutional right to live on public property, live on sidewalks, live in parks. There's nothing in the Constitution that requires cities to surrender their streets, their sidewalks, their parks, or any piece of other public property. And you know what? A lot of the cities that were siding with Boise on this aren't exactly bastions of conservatism. Los Angeles, for instance, they'd like to be able to do something about all the homeless that you just saw there. This is a real problem. What the lower court said is that you can't prohibit people from engaging in a life-sustaining activity. Now, what else is a life-sustaining activity?
Doesn't sound very life-sustaining to me.
Well, right. So sleep is a life-sustaining
activity. Sounds like the
activity.
beginning of the end when you're sleeping in the streets.
What else is a life-sustaining activity? Well, bodily function. So what's going to stop any of the laws against public defecation or public urination from these very same people that now have a constitutional right to sleep on public property? Goodbye to any public urination law. Goodbye to any public defecation law. And the problem with what the court did here,
Californication law.
And we want to really applaud the Supreme Court for a great profile and courage. Heaven knows they have such a tough docket, such a tough work schedule. They couldn't be bothered to hear just one more case. And punting on this. What the lower court said, John,
Judge Ginsburg's not feeling well.
What the lower court said here, John, is that you have to have a running count of homelessness in your city. Now, how are you supposed to know how many homeless people in your street?
Go out and tag them like we do with deer. They tag the deer. They put the little numbers on their reel. Let's tag all the homeless.
In New York City, it takes thousands of people, hundreds and hundreds of man hours, days of man hours to count in what's arguably an accurate count, how many homeless people are on the street. Now, what are they supposed to keep a running tally like on the stock market? Oh, today there's 30,500 homeless people just came in from New Jersey. Now there's 30,500. This makes absolutely no sense.
We shipping them to
Jersey? This is unfortunately going to make it so that no city in America can ever do anything to keep people from sleeping on the street. Here's an idea. The homeless have a right to vote too. How about if you don't want a law prohibiting people from sleeping on the street or in public parks, you vote for people that support that. These unelected judges in the Ninth Circuit, they've said, sorry, Boise, the people that you elected that instituted the laws you voted for, your votes don't count.
These, as I said earlier, Obama appointees. Then it's the decay of our society when I should get like 10 grand in cash and go stand in front of City Hall and pay $10 a head to homeless people to sleep right in front of Gracie Mansion or right in front of City Hall, either one, and get like 1,000 of them and see how
they're doing it without the 10,000
I'm saying,
now.
but hey, we should get like 1,000 of them to build a little city in there and see how.
Well,
but if you didn't know, there's a big wall. We know how de Blasio and all the lefties hate walls. There's a big wall around City Hall here in New York with a security post and 5 cops there, so the homeless can't sleep there, but they can go, seemingly around the country. It's a constitutional right now. You have a God-given right to sleep in the street, bus stop, whatever it may be. And the decay of our society continues even at the highest levels, Frank. When we find out now that James Comey, this supposedly stand-up guy, FBI, lifelong civil servant, he admitted that he was wrong. He admitted they basically admitted that he lied when he said that it was a good warrant. The FISA warrant was a good warrant. And finally, Chris Wallace turned into the guy I loved and respected when he had Comey on the spot right here this week on Fox News Sunday. Okay, maybe we didn't have him on the spot at Fox News Sunday, but he basically said that I was wrong. And Horowitz was right, and it was gross negligence. And even though I said over and over again that my team was right in going for the FISA warrants, I was wrong.
Well, we're going to get into this with John McDonough in just a few minutes. John McDonough is a great guy. He's a cab driver and one of my favorite talk show hosts. And he's pointed out that, it's really odd how the left has embraced all these prosecutors, these CIA analysts, these FBI people. These are exactly the types of authorities that progressives are supposed to be skeptical of. So the fact that they're being given such a platform on entities like MSNBC, it really shows you how unprogressive the professional left is.
Crazy stuff. There was one good thing on Fox Business. I found this article, Frankie, that I thought you would find funny. I mean, we do host a show called Liquid Lunch, so from time to time we may partake in a little alcohol.
Not
me probably a lot more than you, but my day usually starts with a liquid lunch. But this just in from Fox News, or Fox Business, magic mushrooms are reportedly the safest of all drugs, including alcohol.
Really?
A data report by the Global Drug Survey, independent British research company, polled more than 120,000 people in 50 countries and found that only 0.2% of people who took psilocybin semiliciata, aka magic mushrooms, needed emergency medical treatment.
Well,
and the rate was 5 times lower than people who took ecstasy, MDMA, LSD, cocaine, and alcohol.
It's a ringing endorsement.
So Adam Winstock, the founder of the Global Drug Survey, said magic mushrooms are one of the safest drugs in the world.
Well,
I don't know. Maybe we should change from liquid lunch to magic mushroom. Magic meal. Maybe a meal. We make a little omelet in the morning.
I've never tried magic mushrooms. I did recently read William Shatner's last book, in which he talks about his experience taking magic mushrooms in Amsterdam with his wife. He didn't have the best experience, but now I guess we see why truffles are so expensive.
Yeah, they are, and they trick you here in New York. You better watch out there, because they come over and go, "Would you like a little truffle on this, sir?" And you go, "Yeah." They do a couple scrapes. You go, "How about a little more?" "Yeah." Then you get the bill. It's $72 a slice every time they put one on there. Your pasta just costs you $2.60. But
and it's truffle season.
So and it's truffle season.
Consider yourself warned.
It's terrific Tuesday season. We're going to have a terrific day today. John McDonough coming up next. Then Lou Perez. Dabby Carreras is here to talk to us about the economy. Hersing's going to help us finish out hour one talking about, what else? Driver's licenses for illegal aliens and all other crazy things going on in New Jersey and around the country. We'll take a quick break. More Liquid Lunch for you right after this.